Hi, this is Ken. This spiritual video is called Spirituality and the First 5 Years of Life. When a child is first born, their indoctrination or their socialization begins. And with their first breath, the ego is born as well. The ego is everything that we learn and believe to be true that we are taught as we are growing up. The ego is born with our first breath, and it perishes or dies when we take our last. What a child learns during these very formative years, during the first 5 years, often influences their life for the rest of their life. Very often, some of the things that they believe they'll have to deal with when they're older adults, trying to recompense what they believed to be true and what they're actually seeing may actually be true. Very often, what we learn during the first 5 years of our life, many of us will spend the rest of our life trying to undo the damage that we learned during those 5 years, the things that we were taught to believe were true, but were not. And we're trying to deal with those for the rest of our life. And often we never do. This is the cause of a lot of stress and anxiety, confusion, depression, as we see things that we learned and knew were true when we were young, but we just can't understand it. Now that we're older, things aren't making sense. With our birth and the birth of the ego, the beginning of a child's life is extremely important. They're like sponges. They take in everything that they learn. If they learn that they should be concerned about themselves, if they learn not to share things, if they learn about the world in general, that the world is a very dangerous place and you have to beware of other people and be concerned always for what's best for yourself, these are the values that the child will carry with them for the rest of their childhood and often through their life as well. It's hard to undo what was done during those first 5 years because they are the most formative years in a person's life, as a lot of what we believe about the world is learned during that time. The socialization is necessary to an extent. We have to learn about the mores of the societies that we live in. We have to learn the difference between right and wrong. We have to learn how to get along in the world. It is important. And it is important that the ego remains with us for the rest of our life to help us survive in the world and to do it in such a way that it's not only safe for us, but also that we are able to get along with other people and get along and survive by getting a job, on how to treat other people, and the different things that we learn. But there is another way that children can be indoctrinated as well. Just as they're taught to be wary of other people, they could learn to love other people as well. They could learn that what is within them, what is within each person, is a spirit or a piece of God that represents pure love. And sharing this love with all others equally is important and is the reason that we are alive. We do have to be wary. We have to teach children about things that are dangerous, such as stepping out into the road when there are cars going by. Those are important to learn. But children, if they are brought up learning to love others rather than to fear others, learning to trust rather than to hate or be concerned or have prejudice against others, learning to be willing to share wholeheartedly, which means sharing without expecting that the other children will share back necessarily, but because they want to. Being concerned about others, such as when they go to school, being able to hang out and treat and be nice to children who may have a hard time getting along, who may be disabled, who may be a minority and are being laughed at, who may have a stutter or whatever reason, and not having to try to fit in with the crowd. Children during these first 5 years of life can be brought up in a loving environment where they are taught the importance of the spiritual view of life, where they are taught the importance of sharing their love within fairly, equally with all other people. And though they're aware of the dangers of society, they are more concerned with loving others and being concerned for others rather than only themselves. The first 5 years of life, a child can be brought up in this way. It is possible to bring up children in a spiritual environment rather than an egoistic environment where they are taught to worry only about themselves. I think most parents want their children to be loving, want their children to care about others, want them to share equally with each other and with other kids and other people, want them to be good people. But they try to teach them to be very wary of other problems in the world and how awful other people can be and what they can do to others, and that they have to be primarily only concerned about themselves. What I am telling you is that it does not need to be this way. Children can be brought up with love, can be brought up trusting others, yet being concerned and wary that others might not always have their best interest in heart, being unconcerned about conventional things that we are taught, such as the need that we must make a lot of money, have a very prestigious job, that we must do whatever we can to be successful in life by buying a home, getting married, being happy. Those things may be important, but they can take a secondary role to believing that we are all equally important. Every person, every life is equally important and should be loved unselfishly. We can teach our children this during the first 5 years of their life, and if we do that, these children will grow up much more well-adjusted, much happier, have much less stress to deal with because they won't have to confront the false things that they learned during the first 5 years of their life as their parents tried in good faith often to teach them what was right and wrong. These children will learn about the meaning of life when they're children, when they're young, and be able to carry this forward throughout the rest of their life. The first 5 years of life must be changed how we bring up our children. We must bring them up to love, not to fear. One of the books I wrote was called Tranquility, A Village of Hope. It is a village where children are brought up with love and brought up to know the importance of sharing and caring equally for all, of never having prejudice against anyone, regardless of their religion, their beliefs, their looks, the color of their skin, their sex, or anything else. Every life is equally valued. A child can be brought up this way. And if we do this, their life will be happier, it will be more meaningful, they will be more caring, they will get along much better in the world with other people, and their life truly will be successful. Not necessarily the way we believe success is by making a lot of money, but they'll be successful in that they will have found true happiness and peace within them by not having to confront all the anxieties and stresses and depression we have when we're older as we try to make sense of what we learned and what we are thinking may be true. This is Ken with another spiritual video. Please consider when you bring up your children and your grandchildren to bring them up in a loving, caring home where they realize the importance of every life equally, regardless of any differences amongst us. No one is better or more important than another, regardless of what they look like, their color, their beliefs, or any other reason. Till next time.